Hello and welcome to my channel, and for whoever has already been to my channel, welcome back. My name is Kalina and I'm an expert in public relations and mass communications, and in this video I'm going to discuss a topic that seems very important to me, so hear me out. What determines the impact of an event or situation on your life is your perception of it, the way you see it, the story that you put behind it. And this is something that can be very easily twisted against you. So you can be manipulated with that. So here's what some people could do. They can twist the idea or the story of the whole situation and draw it down to the worst scenario. And then they can throw it back into your face so that you can actually change your own perception about the same story. So even if you don't feel things are very, very bad, like this was a bad experience, but you have handled it and you're moving on, people can actually drag you down to feel that bad experience for a longer time, because some people don't want you to get over this bad experience, because they are aware that if you don't get over a bad experience, that will actually impact your psychology, your actions, the way you feel about yourself, and probably your vibrational state, because you know that it's better for you to be in a higher vibration rather than in a lower vibration. And I'm not saying that there are no things that you should feel bad about. There are horrible things that are happening, but some people are getting over those things. They are moving on with their lives, and then there's somebody who is still drawing them down to feel this same situation over and over again. And this is with bad intentions. This is with intentions to manipulate you. Or maybe the situation is not that bad, or maybe your experience of the situation is not that bad, and there's still somebody who will exaggerate the situation, and now because of the way he presents it to you, you're going to actually feel bad about the same situation that you didn't feel bad about. I remember there was a friend of mine who she had this friend that they were, I don't know if they were friends or something more, or maybe he wanted to be something more or something like that, but she says the situation, she's walking down the street, there's a lady that is coming towards her on the other side of the street. She just moved to leave space for the lady to pass by, because she sees that this lady is in a hurry. And the person who was with her told her something like, oh, you're so weak, you're so, you don't have confidence in yourself because you just moved and let this other person pass by you. And for her, this was a random situation, and she didn't put anything into that action. She just moved, which was a kind thing to do. And that other person wanted to make her feel bad about herself, like she feels certain things about herself that she doesn't. It was not the reality for her. That was she's actually a very confident person. And I also have had experiences with some situations in which, this is my experience now, some situations that somebody wants to go ahead in certain, whatever situation is, maybe on a line, maybe whatever it was, and I would just leave the person go before me. I'm like, okay, I'm fine, just go ahead. I see you are a little more impatient. And I have had people telling me, oh, you're so inconfident, you're so insecure because you're just letting this person go first, when I'm like, I just don't want all the drama. I just I just don't think it is a big deal. I see this person is maybe less mature than me, maybe more impatient, and I just let them, So in those situations, it is a small thing that is happening, that meaningless, literally meaningless obstacles that I feel nothing about, but because the other person is maybe insecure about themselves, maybe they would feel something if somebody does this, and they're on my place, or maybe they intentionally want to make me feel bad about myself, but they will make those comments as if it is a big deal when it is truly not. Because if something is truly a big deal, of course I will react. Of course I will not let it happen, but in some situation it is truly not a big deal, and yet somebody wants to throw it back at you and present it as a big deal. And for me, this is very high level of manipulation. And people sometimes don't see it as manipulation, but it is. Because they want you to think about yourself in a certain way. They want to put a different meaning into a situation from your life and from your experience. And they want to change your own perception about that situation. And then when you start thinking differently and feeling differently about this situation, then you're not going to get the lesson that you need to get, and you're not going to move on with your life in the way that you usually would. Maybe you're going to put a lot of focus on something that you shouldn't put any focus at all, right? And this actually impacts you. Maybe in the next day, in a similar situation, you're going to act out of character. Or maybe you will start putting a lot of your focus on those situations because somebody told you, and now you're going to ruin your vibration. You're going to start feel bad about yourself. You're going to, instead of focusing on what's actually important and like handling things in your life in the way that a mature person would, now you're going to start focusing on little things and be worried about them or be angry about them, and you usually wouldn't. And this is a way to change your perception. This is a way to make you feel in a certain way. A lot of people, they want to impact your thoughts and your feelings, because when they do that, they will actually impact you. They will control you, they will influence your behavior. A lot of people really have this tendency to draw you down to the worst scenario. Okay, so after I gave you those examples, now I'm going to point out several ways that they do that. So one way that they can do that is statements about what is happening to you. But those are not statements of compassion, those are not advices, those are not attempts to defend yourself in front of the other person. Those are statements that put you in a victim position. For example, let's say somebody is impatient on a line and I say, okay, you know what, sir, just go ahead, or madam, or whatever, just go ahead, go in front of me, that's okay. And for me, that's a way to handle a situation in a way that I lower the pressure. I lower the pressure on myself. I really don't mind if the person goes ahead, and I don't put anything into that, because I don't think I'm less than this person because I let them go ahead, because they're just a rude person. And they're usually a random person. It's not somebody that I know. It's not somebody that has actual impact on my life. I just want to let them go ahead and get rid of all the tension in that situation. Or something else. And then this person who wants to control, let's say, my thoughts, my feelings, or the way that I feel about myself, they would start making comments like, oh, you're just putting people ahead of you. You're just people pleaser. You're the nice girl, or whatever. And I'm like, yes, I have actually been a people pleaser in the past. I know what that's like, but truly that situation that is happening right now is not about me people pleasing, it's actually about me respecting myself. And that person cannot see it, and instead of just quietly make impression about that and say, okay, I wouldn't react this way, but she has the right to react whatever way she wants to react, they actually want to tell you, they want to let you know, they want to give you their perception of that situation that just happened to you. And that very often could be about a bigger situation. Let's say there is something that actually impacted you, and maybe you even worked with psychologists and you're getting over it, and now you're in a whole different place, but now they wanna return you back to where you were. They want to remind you how bad it was for you. They want you to start complaining, or something that I call, they complain from your name. You know, they, instead of you complaining about a situation that happened to you, they start complaining from your name. Oh, but that's so bad for you. Oh, I can't believe this happened. And I'm like, I really don't care. It just passed. You know, it is like, yeah, I felt bad when it was happening, but right now I really don't, you know? And those are people that consciously or subconsciously want to draw things down to the worst scenario with their comments or with their statements. And they want to impact your thoughts, your perception, your feelings, your vibration, and your energy. Because the way you think about the past is going to determine the way you act in the future. And I have seen a lot of people that they were told you're not standing up for yourself in the situations that they truly didn't care. And then they got angry and lashed at somebody because they don't want to be told again, or they don't want to be seen as somebody who doesn't stand up for themselves. But they are actually acting out of character. Maybe they would have stood up for themselves, but in a different way, and it would be in a situation that this is truly necessary. Because sometimes it is truly necessary to stand up for yourself, but sometimes it's like you need to choose your battles, if you see what I mean. And the other way that people draw you down to the worst scenario is with their questions. They ask their question with certain phrase. They phrase it in a way that it sounds really bad. For example, with this example, with the situation, let's say you are letting somebody go ahead of you, or whatever is happening, whatever the situation is, you're just letting somebody go ahead of you. The question would be, why are you letting people walk all over you by just letting them go ahead on that line? That would be the question. And that question would be, it would present what they think. It would be obvious that they actually think, or they want to make you think like something is happening that is not really your perception. Or another example of that kind of questions would be, why are you wearing such an ugly shirt or skirt? Or why do you look like this? Or something like that. It's like something that you don't consider wrong or bad or ugly or bad looks for yourself. Somebody would ask the question in a way that it will present it that you're in a bad situation and you didn't really think it was a bad situation, and probably the reality is that it is not a bad situation, it is just this person's perception, and it may be intentional desire to manipulate you, but it may also be projection. It may also be something subconscious, like a projection. Maybe they would feel this way. Maybe they consider this situation bad. Okay? So, how do you respond to such questions? One way would be like, can you please clarify? Ask for clarification. So a lot of times the person will just clarify and then you would just answer, because they would actually admit the bad thing that they were thinking. For example, you're at the line, you're letting somebody go ahead just because it's an annoying person that's also angry, whatever. Somebody, if they ask you why you're just letting people ahead, you can say, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? I'm letting people ahead? How am I letting people ahead? I let one person, right? And the clarification could be like, well, if you're just letting this person ahead like this, you are a pushover, or you are a people pleaser. And then you can just clarify, well, I don't think that. I think that I'm not in a hurry so much, and this person was really impatient, and I just thought I could just let them go ahead, but it was my decision. They didn't make me. Or another way to answer is, I don't see it this way. And then you start giving the answer, but the answer comes from a better situation. For example, why are you just letting people ahead like this? They walk all over you, you are a pushover. You can say, well, I don't see it like this. I see it like this person is impatient. They were actually putting a lot of pressure on me, and I wanted to get rid of their negative energy, so this is why I let them go ahead. I win from this too, because I'm not in a hurry, but now that I let them go ahead, they are already out of here and I don't feel their negative energy. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want them to just stand behind and be angry or pushy. I just wanted to let them go ahead, right? And you can just say, I don't see things this way, and explain what you actually see. And with that answer, you're explaining your own version of the events. Another example is, let's say, why do you wear such an ugly shirt or skirt, or why do you look this way? You can say, I don't think I look ugly with that. I don't think this is an ugly shirt. I actually think this is a very presentable shirt. This is something that fits the dress code. Or this is something that I actually find nice as a color. You can actually literally say your perception of this. So you don't only answer the question, you specifically say that you don't see things as that person sees them, and you're showing it to them that you don't see things this way, but you're also saying that to yourself. You're programming it in your own conscious or subconscious, and then you say how you actually see things, and then you just move on. Now, with all of that being said, let's just clarify that there are situations that you truly should react. Again, as I said, choose your battles. There are some situations that if you're truly mistreated, if you truly have to stand up for yourself, you should react. And also, when some bad situation happens to you, you're allowed to feel bad about it. You're allowed to go through it and take as much time to go through it as you need, and ask for the appropriate help, maybe for therapy, maybe for psychologists, maybe for coaches, or for whatever you need to ask. But that should be your own choice and your own perception. You shouldn't allow somebody else to convince you that you feel certain ways that you don't. This is what this video is all about. So if you yourself feel bad in certain situation, if you yourself feel mistreated, then put your boundaries and stand up for yourself. And don't do it for the people around you that would watch. Do it primarily for you. Maybe it is going to have good impact on the people around, but first do it for yourself. But if you have chosen your battles and you have chosen a battle that is too little to fight because you wanna focus on more important things, don't allow somebody to drag you down to this battle. You have already chosen it, it is your choice. So you don't allow anyone to tell you how to think about yourself, what to feel, what perception to have, what should be your mindset, or anything like that, right? Okay, I hope this video was helpful. It is a little longer than my other videos, but I hope it really helped somebody when they watched it. I'm going to leave a link to my website below in the description. Also, you can share and like this video, and you can subscribe for my channel. Thank you very much and have a great day.